Good evening. Today we're discussing the one rank, one pension scheme. And what is special about today is that a three-judge bench of the Honorable Supreme Court of India has dismissed the challenge to the notification of Government of India. And that is the notification dated 7th of November 2015, under which this OROP, the one rank, one pension scheme was notified by the NDA one government led by Mr. Narendra Modi at that time. Now, one rank, one pay is a concept which is pretty simple. At the same time, it is exceedingly complex in implementation. And it is also very difficult actually to calculate the financial implication with any degree of precision, because you have to really look into how much of longevity a retired officer or a Jawan would have. And remember, the family pension passes on to the widow as well. So this concept of one rank, one pay has been talked about in the Indian context for about 4 decades. And various governments, including the UPA 1 and 2 governments led by Sardar Manmohan Singh, also deliberated about this. There were discussions. And in fact, towards the fag end of the UPA 2 government, if I correctly recall, there was a budget provision announced in the February 2014 budget that in principle, we are going to implement this, and a token amount of 500 crores had also been kept. But that, as they say, is history. And ultimately, we had the change of guard in the center in May 2014. Mr. Narendra Modi was sworn in as the Prime Minister of India, and Mr. Manohar Parrikar, who alas is no more, was the Defense Minister. And on the 5th of September 2015, 5th of September 2015, that's almost 1 year and about 4 months after the swearing in of the Narendra Modi government, we had a press note, an official announcement giving the salient features of the one rank, one pay scheme for the retirees of the armed forces. And when we say the armed forces, it means Indian Army, Navy, Air Force. It does not include the central paramilitary forces, which are going to be and have been governed by the civil pensions for the other civil servants and central government employees. So on 7th of November 2015, you had this notification formally issued by Government of India, putting it on a legal basis and creating a liability of the state government that, so beg your pardon, the Government of India, that this is how this one rank, one pay is going to be implemented. And while it was lauded by many, there were people who were not satisfied. They say that it really is not about one rank and one pay. We still don't have one rank, one pay. There is still very, very wide gulfs and differentials. And of course, needless to say that the matter was challenged in the judicial courts and ultimately landed up before the 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court. Lengthy hearings, various petitioners, and Government of India, of course, very vigorously defending its notification, saying that they had already been very liberal. And today, that is the 16th of March 2022, we had the Supreme Court upholding. That means they said the notification cannot be found fault with on constitutional or legal grounds, and therefore they dismissed the petitions filed by various ex-servicemen individually or through their associations and organizations and federations, etc. So now what is this one rank, one pay pension all about? I mean, to quote really from the notification and the press note, it basically means, it implies uniform pension to be paid to the armed forces personnel retiring in the same rank with the same length of service. So therefore, if you are retiring as a colonel with 30 years of service, then every colonel who's retiring with 30 years of service will get the same pension, irrespective of the date of retirement. So whether you retire 2 years ago, retiring now, you retired 5 years ago, if the rank is the same and if the length of service that you had put in is the same, then the pension would be same. Now it looks pretty simple in concept, but once you start actually implementing it, it becomes pretty complex, especially in case of people who had retired long time back. So if you had a colonel of Indian Army who had retired in the 80s, and longevity and life expectancy being what it is, then does it mean that a colonel of Indian Army who retired with the same length of service today, would they be drawing the same pension? Would you pull up the pension of the old retirees to be equivalent to the persons retiring today? So the notification of Government of India and the scheme which they had created actually creates a very healthy balance between the two. And it sticks to the basic principle that once the rank is the same and the number of years of service are the same, then you will get the same pension, irrespective of when you retire. At cost of reiteration, a Jawan who retires 2 decades earlier and who retired a couple of years ago, 17 years of service, if a Subedar Major had put in 25 years of service, then all of them would get the same pension if the rank is the same, if the number of years of service is the same. Now, then where is the problem? The problem is with the fact that people have retired long back and are still drawing the pension. And so how do we really reconcile the two? For instance, one thing is very clear, that the pension has to do with the number of years of service that you put. And generally you become fully pensionable even in civil side with 20 years of service. And it is linked up with the last pay drawn. So generally it is 50% of the last pay drawn, the basic salary. And of course, then you have the dearness allowance and so on. We are only talking in terms of the basic salary. So therefore, if you have a Jawan, let's say, and Jawans generally put in 17, 18 years of service unless they pick up their next promotion, you're back home at about 35, 36, 37, so 17, 18 years of service, depending on at what time you were enrolled. And let us say after the 71 war, let's say in mid-70s, a Jawan had retired. He would be 35 then, 60 years at the turn of century would still be around the fit people, so around 85. So now, do we say that a Jawan who's retiring today and drawing much higher salary, do we pull the pension of a Jawan who retired in the mid-70s, veterans of the Indo-Pak War, and give them the same pension? So this is exactly what the central government led by Mr. Narendra Modi very expeditiously came out with, what now the Supreme Court has said is a fair, just and equitable formula, which does not offend any of the fundamental rights of the petitioners. So therefore, right to equality in terms of people would say equal work and equal pay or whatever. They say there is no discrimination in terms of Article 14 and 16 between people who retired earlier and retired now, because still, although in name it is one rank, one pension, but still, as we will delve into the detail, you will realize they are not and cannot draw the same pension. So first of all, the bold step, which involved at that time giving of arrears. So those arrears are supposed to be in the vicinity of 10,000 to 12,000 crores. Once the notification was issued, those arrears accrued because the government of India said that even if we took the decision on the 7th of November 1215, 2015 के 7 नवंबर को हमने फैसला किया, लेकिन हमारी सरकार जब आई, let no one say that this delay of 1 year and a few months, we've eaten away the claim of our ex-servicemen who bravely defend our borders and even lay down their lives. So they made it applicable with effect from 1st of July 2014. Now, what does that mean? This is the appointed date, very important. So, how do we calculate? How do we refix the pension and give the arrears to the officers and jawans who have retired before this? Of course, the people and officers who retire after this, there are standard tables. I can leave a link of the Google Drive in the YouTube comment section. You can verify those and upload those, but that is a matter of detail. Only a person who's dealing with Fauji pensions would delve into that detail. So the appointed date, let me reiterate, let me hammer it, is the 1st of July 2014, 1 जुलाई 2014. मे के मिडल में नरेंद्र मोदी गवर्नमेंट ने शपथ ली, लेकिन बेशक ये फैसला किया गया 7 नवंबर 2015 को, लेकिन 1 जुलाई 2014 से ये लागू हो गई, नाफिज हो गई, has come into force. So अब कैसे how they were to fix the or refix the pension of the people who retired before that, उन्होंने कहा कि पूरा कैलेंडर ईयर आप लीजिए. कौन सा? उससे पहले कौन सा हुआ? 2013. They say, okay, 2013 में catch hold of a particular rank, catch hold of the number of years of service. उनका मैक्सिमम और मिनिमम कितना था वो कैलकुलेट करो, उसकी एवरेज निकाल लो. सो अगर कैप्टन कोई 30 साल की सर्विस के बाद रिटायर हुआ है, उसका टेबल बनाना है. देखो सारे इंडियन आर्मी में कितने हैं, कंट्रोलर डिफेंस अकाउंट्स, कंप्यूटराइजेशन, नंबर चर्निंग, स्टेशन एट इलाहाबाद did that job, and they say, hey, this is the minimum a captain with 30 years of service drew, and this is the maximum. उसकी एवरेज निकाल ली. And that was given as a pension to every captain who was alive or whose family pension was going on. If he'd passed away, the widow was there, and therefore every captain who had maybe retired in the aftermath of the Indo-Pak War or the Sri Lanka operations or the Kargils would automatically be fixed as the average which a captain with the same number of years of service drew, with reference to the year of retirement being the calendar year 2013, 2013. अब वो कहेगा मेरी घट सकती है. The government of India was very fair to say that in the event you are actually drawing more than that by any reason whatsoever, then your higher pension would be protected. So therefore, how did the old retirees' pension get fixed? Take the rank in which you retired, take the number of years of service, आपके इक्विवेलेंट 2013 में मैक्सिमम कितनी हुई, मिनिमम कितनी हुई? That's right. You average that out, but more importantly, once you average that out, you get the same pension irrespective of when you retired. So huge tables, number churning and so on took place, and people were given that pension. And in the event by any anomaly, your pension, the new pension came to you already drawing more, then your previous pension was protected. So as we said, this exercise took a couple of years. मीटर आपका घूमना शुरू हो गया था 1 जुलाई 2014 से. So therefore the arrears had accumulated, those number churning was done, and the arrears were also calculated and paid. And it was huge amount, and therefore they staggered into 4 installments of 6 months each. 2 साल में उन्होंने वो सारा clear कर दिया. And very, very compassionate view that in case of war widows, gallantry awardees and so on, उनको एक किश्त में ही वो सारा कर दिया, the arrears were given. And now you would say that, sir, what happens there are people still retiring. You fix my pension. There, with reference to the cutoff date of 1st of July 2014, आज हम 2022 में बैठे हैं, जो कल कैप्टन रिटायर हुए हैं, जो कल कर्नल रिटायर हुए हैं, तो ही इज ड्रॉइंग मोर. So again, government of India's view was very, very dispassionate and rational. They say ये exercise हम हर 5 साल करेंगे. So therefore, this exercise, which because of this legal challenge could not be done, has now been directed by the Supreme Court to be completed within a limited time. I think 3 months है या जो भी है. So therefore, now the cutoff date for redetermining this pension would actually be calculated from 1st of July 2019. So therefore, again, the old retirees would have their areas calculated and so on, and directions of the Supreme Court are that please do that within a limited period of time, so that these Indian veterans who deserve not only respect, not only lip service, also get pension which is commensurate not only with their rank but also with the years of service, and with the flux of time, get equal to or equivalent to the officers of the same rank with the same length of service. Now, this is going to be a continuous process. As you say, you cannot do this business of pension fixation on a daily basis. And the notification says that 5 years we will do. And generally in pay commissions, we have seen it is a 10-year phenomenon. So the Government of India notification for OROP, one rank, one pension, talks in terms of a 5-year determination horizon. So this, the previous retirees who retired before 1st of July 2019, they would have their pensions refixed. And similarly, after another period of 5 years thereafter, that is 1st July 2024, the people who retire in the meantime would have their pensions refixed. So in strict technical terms, you will always have that gap. But let us be very clear that a Jawan who was drawing maybe 1,500 rupees in 1972, his pension would have been fixed as 750 rupees or whatever. Of course, with each pay commission, the minimum pension you draw goes up. There is a dearness allowance. But each and every officer or Jawan who has retired, is living, or the widow survives him, will have the same pension for the same number of years, irrespective of the date of retirement. So Supreme Court, huge lawyers, very, very competent lawyers. And of course, we had organizations of ex-servicemen coming and presenting their cases. And of course, we would have seen TV images of veterans sitting in dharna and protests and so on. So they have said that this notification, or in strictly legal terms, is very, very fair, just, and equitable. It does not offend any of the fundamental rights. It even does not offend any legal right. So they say there is nothing in law which mandates the Government of India from giving one rank, one pay, strictly speaking. They have gone as close as is feasible practically, and redetermining after every 5 years. So they have upheld the notification, and they have said that generally, if the policy decision of any government, and that is the general law of the land, and Supreme Court has actually reiterated that we will not sit in judgment over the policy decisions of the Government of India, or for that matter, any state government, unless it offends the Constitution, unless it affects your legal rights, statutory rights under any other law, act, enactment, statutory rules, regulations. And in this case, they said that this notification of Government of India has been more than fair, and therefore we would not interfere with this. They rejected all the petitions and upheld. So this, then, friends, is all about ORP. I went live today because it was topical. we had this decision coming up today morning, and therefore wanted to share with you. If there are any comments, please do put them, depending on whether you're joining on Facebook or Facebook page or YouTube. I'd prefer that you put on YouTube, and I would be able to revert back with the answers to the best of my ability. And of course, the notification itself of 7th of November and the September 2015 press note, etc. And the tables are huge. Those I can leave links to the Google documents. But thanks for joining. And for the moment, the news is Supreme Court upholds the one rank, one pay notification of Government of India. They say it is more than fair and there are no infirmities. Friends, have a great day ahead, and Jai Hind.